I am Americana to the core.
My name is Bianca Guimarães.
Hello, my name is Francisco J. Nunez.
My name is Yadira de la Riva.
Hello, my name is Bonafide Rojas.
My name is Rosemary Pereira, and this is my Perfiles.
When I was a little kid, I always wanted to be an astronaut, but that didn't work out. So I started thinking about the things that I didn't want to do before I started thinking about the things that I wanted to do. And I knew that I didn't want to be a doctor, and I didn't want to be a physicist, I didn't want to be a lawyer. So advertising sounded good, but I didn't know what I was really getting into. And that's when I decided to actually go to advertising school. And I started school, and then I started interning when I was 19 in my first advertising agency as an art director. And that was pretty much how I started, without really knowing what I was getting myself into.
My mom started me off when I was 5 years old because she was very timid growing up and she didn't want that for me. So she put me in dance classes, but she never ever thought that I would grow such a love for it. And it was instantly from the first day. And since that day, I knew that this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life.
I became interested in theater since I was in elementary. I had, in my second grade class, Miss Torres, she had us do about 3 plays in 1 year, and that's how she used to teach us language arts and history. And we did a Thanksgiving play, we did a Christmas play, and then we did like a fairy tale. And I enjoyed it so much, and I guess she liked how I did so much that she invited me to come 3rd grade to do it again.
A friend of mine wrote this monologue about just the struggles that we face as children of immigrants, 2nd, 3rd generation Latinos, and just young high school students who want to have better lives with ourselves. And the minute he got off stage, I was a bit shocked with the outpour of support that he got from everybody, the way the girls looked at him afterwards. I mean, I'm gonna be serious. And on the way back down from Albany, I wrote my first poem. I showed my friend who wrote the monologue, showed him this poem. And the weird part about this, and I've probably replayed this in my head about 10 times, is that there are 2 things that can happen in this. 1, he can support me, and 2, he doesn't. Where support sometimes is sometimes a thin line that you find it or you don't. But he wasn't. He was really supportive, and to this day, you know, even though I rarely ever see him, he lives out in Phoenix, he still gets mentioned in that conversation of how did I start writing, because he went out his way and supported me. We talked about writing for a good year. I was 17, he was 16. And that first summer, I read about 65 books of poetry. And I think that is probably the most poignant lesson out of all that here's this 17-year-old Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx who already dropped out of high school, didn't really go to high school, just really hung out in New York, was a graffiti writer, and all of a sudden here's poetry, the written word, and it completely changes my life.
What I noticed is even though I was going to school to learn English and math and science, it made me different being able to play the piano, especially in the neighborhood I grew up. I grew up basically in Spanish Harlem. And in the Dominican Republic, we grew up in a not very wealthy neighborhood. So no one had a piano. In fact, down there, you can't really have a piano because it's so humid. If you have no air conditioning, the wood just deteriorates. But we still had one. She actually went out of her way to buy one down there. And when I played the piano down there, people listened because the doors are all open and the windows are all open. Here as well in New York City. So people knew me as a pianist in my neighborhood. I was always practicing. All the kids were downstairs playing stoop ball, and I would look out the window wishing I was playing stoop ball as well, but I had to practice. And that piano opened up doors for me.
When it comes to influences, by being from Brazil, I think of my family, like where Brazilians are very like family-centric, and I feel that I've been always very close to my family. And so when you ask me about my influences, I feel that my parents are the people that influenced me the most.
You know, I grew up with a lot of cumbias, a lot of you know, Mexican music, music from the US, and all of those have formed how I see the world now, the way I talk, the way I relate to people.
My first teacher, Yolanda Fernandez Quincose, she has been like the role model. She showed me the way. She had a family, she had her studio, she's a teacher, and she kind of showed me that it was possible. So she's definitely who has influenced me the most.
I had to think of 3 traits that have helped me succeed this far in life. The very first one was my family. You know, they are hardworking, loving people. It's really someone, my mother specifically, who I look to help me out. The second trait, the people that I've worked with, my friends, the incredible energy and smarts. You know, if you surround yourself with dedicated, smart, great people, they won't let you fail. If I had to think the third trait, perseverance. You know, we fail all the time. There's so many things in life. You're not going to always make it, but you can't stop at that. You got to keep going and use whatever you learned from that pain of loss to make yourself better.
Sense of humor. Can't really go around taking yourself too seriously, because then you end up taking things very personal, which I don't think is healthy, especially in the creative community. Drive. The biggest thing for me as an artist is having longevity and having a, you know, for lack of a better word, a very certain sense of myth and legend by the time I'm dead, because that again will also translate over to my son as something that he can use, not necessarily as a, you know, like an imaginary trust fund, but more like the ability for people to open doors up for him because he is, you know, my heir or just the next of kin. And the third one is a reinvention. That's the concept of reinvention, especially in terms of someone who was born out of, you know, the hip hop community. When you embrace hip hop as a reinventive tool, those things become basis for you to just change your life in a very certain manner.
One of them definitely is growing up in a very strong and big family. I feel like everything that I learned from them, that's my foundation, where I learned about respect, where I learned about love, where I learned about responsibility, is all from my family, and I feel like those values transcend anywhere. Also, I'm very persistent. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. If it takes a year, 5 years, 10 years, however long it takes, I'm gonna do it. Because I said I was going to, because that's what my intention is. I think the third one is just being creative. I feel like aside from any skill that I could gain or any, you know, knowledge that I could acquire, being creative helps me connect with people on other levels, whether it's dance or storytelling or there's so many different forms of art that I feel like need no language.
Definitely perseverance. That's number one. There's so many times that I just wanted to give up because of the recession, because of, you know, things get tough, and something never allowed me to quit. I always knew there was a bigger picture at the end, and that drove me to where I am today. Discipline. I've had to be very, very disciplined to juggle everything that I need to juggle, from my family life to owning the business and to being an educator. Without very strict discipline, I wouldn't have been able to make it.
The Latino is a blended figure.
We've always been American. We've always been American. You know, that border was constructed in, you know, 1848. But before that, all of that used to be in Mexico. So a lot of the families that used to live there originally continue to live there. A lot of the culture has always been there. So I feel like the proximity both to the American dream and to a community that has always been familiar was always there.
I am very grateful to allow my perspective to be added onto this continuum of everything that came before me. My generation, the generation before me, and the generation after me, we are nothing but continuations of the first 4 or 5 generations before us. And unique is a really it's kind of a cautious word, because you're thinking you're doing something that's never been done before, that your life is completely different from everyone else's, and it's not. But your perspective, that's what needs to be considered unique, because that is the only thing in you that is going to be unique. In terms of cultural perspective, I'm just really grateful that people take my perspective and they listen.
Making the Latino American experience unique is very challenging to describe. I think that when people think of Latino, they have an image of one person. Of that, I used to be called Ricky when I was a kid, and that's who I represented, Ricky Ricardo. To people ask me, hey, where's your Babalu drum? It's pretty fun, and I would bring one, I'd play it, and it'd be great. But if you look at all the different kinds of foods, all the different kinds of cultures, all the different kinds of dance, all the rhythms, the different colors of people, the different backgrounds and names, the accents, it's incredible. There is no one Latino. There's everything. It's completely unique.
I don't think the U.S. has fully embraced Latino culture, because if we were fully embraced as a community and as a culture, then why would there be laws that are being passed to ban books that explain our history? Why would there be laws that are working towards removing ethnic studies, something that was fought for so much during the civil rights movement? Why would they work towards eliminating something like that? Or raza studies, whether it's in Arizona, or even budget cuts that cut those specific programs in California or other states. For any country to embrace the richness of its diversity and the richness of everyone that has contributed to it, then you have to keep that. You have to educate people on the origins of why everybody's there. We have always been here. We have always been here to provide, a labor force, any kind of support. And that's not just Latinos. I mean, that's people all throughout the world that were brought here because the U.S. needed that resource in order to build itself as a nation. So I feel like until we are able to be allowed to embrace our own culture, embrace our own history, embrace everything that makes us who we are, our religious beliefs, then we will not be harassed in our churches. We will not be harassed in our schools or our homes or any place that are important to our survival here in the United States.
In my feeling, I think America has embraced Hispanic culture, those that have Hispanics around them. It depends where you are in our country. If you're not surrounded by people, then you don't know anything about them. I was talking to someone, and if you think about where you are, if you're constantly surrounded by people that are looking different than you, you get used to the idea and you're not afraid of it. So if you walk into the subway, even though you might not have a friend that's African American or a friend that comes from the Hindi background, or a Sikh or Muslim or a person of different religious background, but by looking at them in the subway, you start to see what it's like to be next to them. You sit next to them, you smell them, you touch them, you know what it's like, you see their hair. The fear goes down. You might not be their friend, but something in your soul understands it closer.
Do I feel like it could be embraced more? Absolutely. But TV seems to have embraced it. You always see a Latino character come out more in TV. You see more of it.
I think definitely entertainment is one of them, and especially because in advertising, our industry, we're closer to that. So I do feel that it's the Hispanic, the culture, the whole thing is so rich that I think that could be showing up more a little on the entertainment part. And I feel that people sometimes don't get the full picture.
The macho, the sex star, the vixen, the sexy dancer, the Spanish guitar player. Those images, those stereotypes are probably the ones that America has taken the most on because they can repackage it with different ethnicities and pass them off as Latino. It's definitely about having more people behind the camera. You know, behind the camera is probably more important than anything else. And even behind the camera, producers. If the producers are Latinos who have a progressive image and want to pump that progressive image out to America, then they won't be able to go, hey, we have 3 Latino actors, you know, they're gonna be gangbangers. If I'm a producer, I'm like, no, why don't we just make them, you know, sell some books.
To me, what stands out the most is that all our young girls get pregnant early, or that they have a lot of children, and I don't think that's the case. I think that could happen in any culture, but it's being depicted on TV, in movies, that's the case, and that's absolutely wrong. I teach kids, I teach the teenage years, the adolescent years, and it couldn't be further from the truth.
Celebrating is a tool of identification because it lets people know that we're here. And I think that's the biggest thing. If people don't know we're here, they're never going to acknowledge us. Everyone
is questioning what is race today. And that is a question that we never should stop asking ourselves. We're a blended America, and we're going to continue to grow through the pain and joy of that blend. It's coming in from the music, it's coming in from the culture, it's coming in from religions. Our youngest people are the ones who are going to lead the way. So we're not post anything, we're deep in it. But I see it as a blend that's quite lovely.
I think that if it's post-racial, then why should anybody's history be reduced to 1 month out of the whole year? I really feel if we have really transcended race, then we will acknowledge everybody's contribution to this country year-round.
I definitely come across things in my everyday life where it does make a difference. My skin color, my ethnicity, my culture. So that is why it's especially important that we have a platform, that we have somewhere to showcase all the wonderful things we have to offer, all the educators, all the talent that we have within our Hispanic community.
I've had incredible mentors in my life. Today, I can point to 2 or 3 that really help me and guide me in what I'm doing. And they're my friends. It's my wife and my best friends, you know. And everything I do is about inclusion. Through many thoughts, many ideas, and the idea of back and forth, you know, of throwing ideas out and creating a think tank, so to speak, of my friends, we're able to create new things. There's no way I did everything that I did today alone. These friends, this think tank that I have, that I surround myself with, they're the reason that I'm successful today. Because I get tired, I make mistakes, but they're always there to do for me what I do for young people. You know, they help me, and without them, I don't think I'd be who I am today.
My parents were ones that I've always kind of went for approval, and they've always pushed me to do new things and to keep going. And since I started working, I mean, having a lot of people that believed in me and helped me get to where I'm at, and also are always helping me see the right way and pushing me to take the next steps. And I think this is super important because that's what actually got me to do the things that I've done, that got me moved to the US without my family, and I appreciate having people that push me to do all those things.
I think mentorship is a necessity for our youth. I think everyone should do it. Everyone should take the time to do it. I think I definitely had mentors along the way, and I love to mentor. I feel like I'm doing it right now with a lot of my kids. Sometimes, especially I think during the teenage years, it's very easy to gear off, and you need someone to kind of keep you in line and keep you focused, and I think with mentors you can do that.
I think everyone needs mentors, because things that we're doing sometimes need an older perspective on what we're doing. I literally had about a dozen people about 10 years older than me when I was coming up that go, look, you have to read more. Like, you have to read more. You have to pick your vocabulary up. You have to stop speaking so fast on stage. They took their time out, and because of that, I knew that I was part of another cycle that I had to do the same thing with people younger than me.
If I didn't have mentors, I would not be here. I really want to recognize, you know, Don Williams and Rosalie Cabrera for inspiring me to do theater for myself, for showing me the ropes along college and telling me that I should go to graduate school when I didn't know I even wanted to do that, or I didn't know that existed past college. I thought college was my ultimate goal. I didn't know that there was so much more after that that I could explore for myself. So I love them, my peers. I feel like a lot of my mentors now are my peers. I love them, I respect them, and they inspire me personally, artistically, every day. And I feel like we are in those positions now to mentor other people.
Love your books. When you love your books and you love your art, I'm telling you, it just works wonders. You spend weekends reading. Your boys want to go out? Cool. You're going to stay home, read the new Junot Diaz book, the new Garcia Marquez book. Then you want to stay home and eat all the literature that you can. And then second, just be patient. You know, this isn't fast food.
A lot of people want to go into conducting. Conducting is great. To tell 100 people what to do, you know, it's a lot of fun. You know, it's like the CEO of a company. You know, orchestra conductors have to tell a lot of intelligent people what to do. So young people like that. You know, there's a lot of power in young people today. They really feel powerful because parents, the way they bring them up, which is really terrific. What I would like to tell young people is to think a little differently.
Meu nome é Bianca Guimarães e o que me faz Differenter é que eu sou aberta a novos desafios, a aprender novas línguas, a me introduzir em novas culturas, e foi isso que me trouxe aqui. And that in English means my name is Bianca Guimarães and I'm Differenter because of my openness to learning new things, new languages, and being part of a new culture. And that was what brought me here.
Hola, yo soy Francisco Núñez. Lo que me hace un Differenter es que yo creo en inclusión, donde todos los jóvenes tienen un chance para ser tremendo. Hi, I'm Francisco Núñez, and I'm a Differenter because I believe in inclusion, where all young people have an opportunity to be great.
Yo soy Differenter porque soy fronteriza americana usando arte y poesía para unir a comunidades a nivel nacional e internacional.
My name is Bonafide Rojas y yo soy un diferente porque poesía es mi vida y mi vida es poesía. Poetry is my life and my life is poetry.
Yo soy Differenter porque con mi pasión por baile cambio la vida de todos mis alumnos. My name is Rosemary Pereira. What makes me Differenter is that I get to enrich the lives of children through my passion for dance.